Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Andro Coder. This is final part of HTML Crash Course. I will provide the link of Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3 in comments. In today's video, we are going to learn about list in HTML, tables in HTML, caption in table, t-head and t-body, col-span attribute, form in HTML, video tag, and many more. But before we dive into the details, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss any of our coding and web project tutorials. Let's jump right in. Now, we are finally moving forward to our final level, which is our pro level. Sometimes situations arise when we need to display a list of items on our page. For example, if we create a page about education within a website, we want to display our 10th grade marks, 12th grade marks, and college marks. Similarly, for a master's degree, we want to display all that information in a list format. In HTML, we have tags to help us display things in a list format. The first type is an unordered list, which is displayed as bullet points. We use it when we don't provide any specific order or sequence. The second type is an ordered list. Ordered list displays our data in a printed format with numbering. Roman numerals or even alphabets can also be used within lists. Now moving on to creating our unordered list. First, we create a tag in which we write UL for unordered list. For list items inside it, we use LI tag. For example, we create an unordered list called fruits and add items like apple, mango, and banana. Now, after saving this, list of fruits is appearing on screen. Similarly, we can create a sublist within a list to show more details. To display the items in a sublist, we can nest another unordered list within the main list. And within this nested list, we can further create sublists. For example, let's create sublist of color and season for apple and mango. After saving this, we can see sublists are appearing inside apple and mango. Now, moving on to our ordered list. Inside the ordered list, the items we place come with numbers. We can copy the same structure as our unordered list, just replacing UL with OL for ordered list. After saving this, we can see an ordered list with numbered items. We can also convert unordered sublist into ordered sublist. We just need to replace UL tag of sublist with OL tag. After saving this, we can see that sublist is also appearing in ordered format. Now let's discuss HTML tables. Tables are useful when we need to display real-life tabular data on our website. For example, exam scores, rankings, or student lists. For represent a table in our website, we use table tag. Inside table tag, we use TR tag, TD tag, and TH tag. The TR tag is used to create rows, TD for cell data, and TH for headers. We use CSS within these tags to style the table. Overall, HTML tables are helpful for presenting structured information in a visually organized manner on web pages. The most special thing about HTML is that you don't need to remember so many tags. The more you practice, the more you'll build things on your own. The tags will become familiar to you. You're not taking unnecessary pressure. Just try to understand it in a very laid-back and easygoing way. Now, how do we use these three tags? We use them in the following way. If we see table on the right, we need to create a table with a header containing name and roll number. And inside that, the data. We'll store our name and roll number, and we'll create it using the table tag. It's a semantic tag, as it's indicating that we are creating a table. Inside this, the first part is the rows, which means the part we're creating using our TR tag. In the first row, we define the header. If you look closely, we have name and roll number in the header. In the second row, we've defined our data, and because of that, we have our data inside the table. Let's create our table in this format. We've created the table tag. Now we will create TR tag, and inside it, we'll first create table headers for name and roll number. Now we're creating the second table row inside which the data will be stored, meaning the table data with the help of TD tag. After putting name and roll number data inside TD tag, let's save this and run it. So we now have a table. The lines for the table might not be visible here, but the format with name and roll number as the header is highlighted on the screen, and below it, we've simply written our data. Similarly, we can add more rows and more data within our table. Let's say we want to add more data, where we'll keep different names and roll numbers inside it. After saving this, we see that now new data is also appearing on display. We can make quite a few changes within this table, along with the changes above. The first thing we can do is add a caption inside the table. What is a caption? Just like we write captions under our photos describing what's happening in the photo, similarly, a caption tells what's happening inside the table. For the caption, we'll add the information about student data in the student data table. Let's save it and run it. Now our caption is also appearing and it's representing that our table is made for students' data. We have two more sections apart from the table caption. There are two tags we can use within the table. The first one is our table head and the second one is our table body. The table head's job is to encompass the table's header, which is the main headline from the header line, and the table body's job is to wrap around the data inside our table. If we use these for layout purposes as well, we'll mention it here. The TH tag for table head and TD tag for table data are used within the table. The TH tag contains the part up to the header, which means the first row we created. After that, our body begins. Inside the body, all our data will be present. Let's put header row in T-head tag and data rows inside T-body tag. Now save it. Currently, no visible changes are showing here. But if you will change background color, then you can see changes between T-head and T-body. Next comes another attribute within the table that sometimes proves quite useful: col span. It's used to span how many columns a column should span. For example, if we want both columns' names to appear in a single column. Currently, we've given name and roll number in 2 columns. If we want to name both columns information, we'll do that here. First of all, remove the header roll number. We've removed the roll number header, and now we simply change the name of first header, which we named information. After saving this, we see that the new header, which we've defined using the TH tag, will only appear above the first column. But we want the value of information to appear exactly in the center of both columns. At that point, we use this col span attribute. What will col span do for us? We define it here. How many columns this header is going to take, we write 2 inches here. After saving this, we see that the information has shifted to the center of both columns. Sometimes, when we want to merge 2 or 3 columns together, just like we merge cells in an Excel sheet, rather than giving the same column name to 2 or 3 cells, we use col span in HTML. This is our complete table. Now, let's move on to the next topic, HTML forms, and I'll tell you that it's an important topic according to me. Whenever we go to platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or anywhere else, what do we need to do initially? We have to sign up, or if we need to log in anytime, a form appears. In that form, we have to either add a username or add our password. In the beginning, we need to add name, full name, phone number, and other details. We need to enter a Gmail ID. This type of form is created in HTML. To create a form in HTML, we use the form tag. You collect data from the user. Examples like sign-up form and login form are included. Some websites have forms like help requests or contact forms, where you can leave your ID for someone to contact you. It's used to create forms. To create a form, we put the form opening tag and closing tag. We're defining an action attribute for a form initially. The action attribute defines where the data from the form will go. For this, we have a front end for the user. A JavaScript file will process it, or the form's data can go to a backend file. Here, I'm taking a PHP example. The data from the form goes to /action.php backend file. Currently, where is the data going? What happens with that data later is not our concern. First, let's create and examine the form. For create a form, we use form tag. Inside form tag, we use form element input. Inside this element, we put type and placeholder attributes. Type attribute determine the type of input and placeholder attribute. Determine that which text will appear in input background if user leave it blank. Whatever you write in the placeholder will appear if you leave it blank. If I type my name in the placeholder, it will show my name in the background text. For example, let's create an input with type text and placeholder. Type something. Let's save it and run it. Now, an input type something written inside it is displayed. An input tag has been created. Now let's consider what we need. An input box for password. Let's create an password input with placeholder password and type password. If we define type as text, it makes our password visible, and when we define it as password, then it hides our password behind the bullet points. Let's save and check. Now username and password inputs are added. For the username, we enter our username, and for the password, we enter something. The password is masked with dots. This way, when we need to take input texts and passwords, we can define their type. Now we have seen 2 types of input, text and password. Next, let's talk about labels. What do labels do? Inside our form, there are 2 benefits of labels. The first benefit is that for screen reader users who might have visual impairments or difficulty seeing our website, there's a feature in some devices that automatically detects what elements are on the screen and speaks them out. This feature is present inside mobile, and it is used to read out the content on websites. So, labels here help by providing a pre-existing spoken description for screen reader users, informing them that there's a checkbox here, or a button, or an input field where they need to type their username or password. Labels provide significant assistance. Now let's move to another point. Labels are quite helpful for our radio buttons. Radio buttons are buttons where you can select only one choice from the options. These buttons are referred to as useful radio buttons. How do we define a radio button? Similar to how we took another input type here and in the type, we write radio. Now, we don't need to write placeholder here. Instead, we define two attributes. The first attribute is the value, and the second attribute is name. Inside name attribute, we'll write class 11th. In the same way, we can create another radio button. What will this radio button represent? Write class 12th inside it. You'll notice that we've given both the same name. The advantage of this same name will be explained shortly. For now, we're just creating. After saving this, now we have two buttons for class 11th and class 12th. If we click on class 11th, the value associated with class 11th will be passed to the backend. Whichever radio button you choose, let's say you choose class 12th, what happens? The backend will receive information that you've selected class 12th. The value will be sent to class 12th. Now, these two similar radio buttons can be placed within a label. Let's create a label here with for ID. Now we can create an ID as well. Think of an ID like assigning a student a roll number. Now we put our radio buttons inside label. After saving this, we cannot see any changes here, but now we can also select class by tapping on class 11th and class 12th texts. These are the cases where it's beneficial for users who might have a slightly weaker eyes. If the screen is very small and the text is very small, then in that case we take the cursor and navigate for selection of class. Both classes are in same line, so let's use BR tag. The advantage of the label is that whenever we have the same name. In our buttons, we use same name, which is class, then we can separate them by giving them separate IDs, then the radio buttons will be distinct. Now let's talk about what the meaning of attribute class for an element. Now we can assign a class for any element together and assign an ID. You can understand class assignment as if you've assigned a group 1 and group 2. Now inside group 1, there could be 5 children. Now, how will we differentiate these 5 children? We will give them IDs. Its ID is 1, its ID is 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's assume there are 4 children, and they also have their own IDs. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if all these children's places are together, let's define children's as buttons, and we want the color of all buttons to be green individually. We don't need to give the color green to all these buttons individually. What can we do? We can assign the entire group 1 with green color, or we can assign the entire group 2 with blue color. So when we need to get information about elements of the information group, we would use the name of the group, which is the class. And when we need to see the ID card of an individual, let's say I need to check the ID of this particular child, we would simply check its ID 1. In this way, we can understand the concept of IDs and groups. Here I'm providing an example of my elements that first we created divs. Inside this, there's its ID and class. Both divs have different ID. First div have ID 1 and second div have ID 2, but they both have same class, that is group 1. So what are they doing here? This is a complete div named ID 1, and this is another div named ID 2. Now these two divs, they are both in the same group, and the name of this group is group 1. This type of case is happening. Whenever we talk about groups and classes, we are talking about checkboxes. Sometimes we may need to provide options where you can select multiple things. Our radio buttons won't work there, so we would be using checkboxes. Let's see how to write a checkbox. Inside this, we would be creating labels. Let's assume a student needs to select subjects. He has to select 1 out of 4 subjects. So here we would write the label. First, we would create a label for math, and inside it, we would write input. The type of input will be checkbox. What value would we give for these checkboxes? For value, we would provide math. For name, we write subject and the ID. When would the ID come into use? The ID would be used for the backend. It's not in use right now. How would the backend work? The backend would detect which checkboxes out of 4 are ticked, what are the individual IDs of those, and for you. You can make this functionality in such a way that whichever checkboxes are ticked, a green color appears above them, a blue color appears above them. These kinds of things can be done. When we learn CSS JavaScript, then the ID would come into use. So let's provide ID 0 and 101 to our math input. Now let's create checkboxes for 3 more subjects like physics, chemistry, and computer science. Provide all different ID for different subject input. Let's save it and run it. Now checkboxes for 4 subjects would be displayed in a similar manner from which we can select multiple. Now for formatting our form, let's use BR tag and provide different headings to different parts of our form. After saving, our form will appear like something, where above we will have a place to fill in the username and password. Below, you can select your class. Finally, a checkbox has appeared here for your favorite subject. You need to select a subject, or you can select multiple subjects for now because we have not used any backed yet. So whenever we need to select multiple options, we use checkbox. Next, let's talk about the text area. Sometimes we want to take input from the user for certain text. It means we provide an area where they can write a few lines about themselves. An example of this is some companies that provide a feedback form on their website, allowing you to write feedback. If we need to design this kind of feedback, then we will use text area. How to use the text area tag for that. Inside the form, towards the end, we create a text area tag, and first we label it with a name. We can assign an ID to this name. For now, we name it feedback. We provide an ID 101 to it, and we write, "Please give your feedback here" as placeholder. Let's save it and run it. Now, a feedback area is appearing on display in which we can type our feedback. For now, we type, "This was a nice form. Thank you very much for this info." If you want a little bigger text area, then you can use height and width attributes for it. We can also define rows for our text area. It will create a limit of lines for write feedback. Now let's talk about select. It's helpful for create a drop-down of multiple things like countries, cities, and postal codes. The person who is filling the form can see multiple options after tapping on select box. But he can select only one option, and selected option will appear inside the select box after selection. Let's create a select box for cities. To create a select box, first we type a select tag with a name and ID. For now, we write city as name and ID. To provide multiple options inside the select box, we use option tag with value attribute. For now, we write different cities' name for value. After saving this, we see that a select box is appearing with different options inside it. Let's provide a title to our form and our select box. So our registration form is ready for us. In it, we can write the username and password. We added a title to the form. We select the class. We can choose our favorite subjects. We can select our city, and we set up the feedback. Now, the most important thing, how can we transfer data of this form to our backend or to our /action.php? For submission, we use another input with type submit. If we change its type, then it will not submit our form and a value. For now, we use submit as value. After saving this, we see a submit input has appeared on display, and when we tap on it, it will transfer our form data to /action.php. Now, we have completed our form. Next, let's talk about another important tag, the iframe tag. Iframe tag's job is that if we want to show another website within a website, how do we show it? We use the iframe tag like websites inside website. Like an anchor tag within which we have our source attribute, we insert a link. For instance, if I go to a random video on YouTube and search for Java within it, the first video that appears, we click on it and share it. After sharing, what do? An option for embedding will appear. We will go to this embed option, and what will it do? It will provide us with some HTML code for the frame, which we take and insert into our HTML code. We copy the entire information within the tag that had the complete frame. Inside it, the important thing is that we have written the frame. The website is defined here. Within the source, we have written our complete link as the video. If we control the link of a YouTube video and save it, what will happen? Our entire video will start appearing above our web page. Now, in place of the video, you can also run it. The whole YouTube player will appear on top of our website. In a way, if you want to play a YouTube video on your website or another video. In fact, if you want to display another website, you can do it here. There are some websites that do not allow it. For example, if you try to create an iframe in which you are putting a source, if you try to save google.com, then this thing won't work. Here it says, web page not available. Some sites protect themselves from being displayed on other web pages. What happens if we can display google.com in place of the search bar for our website? People can come there and search. Internally, it might be google.com, but it will be on our website. Many people take steps to prevent these things, but if we want to do something else, let's say we want to display the Wikipedia website. Here, we will simply replace the link and come back to our page. Now Wikipedia is opened on our website. Here, the height and width of YouTube video are too big, so we'll change them and save it. Let's move to Wikipedia again. Here you might want to search. Let's say we want to search for HTML. Then all the functionality that's available will be running on your website. but internally it works for Wikipedia. But all the content is displayed on top of your website. Now, professional level websites are mostly preventing this, but Wikipedia have the freely available resources that are available for free, so they haven't put much effort into it. They don't care if you take their data. In this way, we use our iframe tag. Next, we'll talk about video tag. Previously, we've shown photos through relative URLs and absolute URLs. Similarly, we can also show videos on top of our website. And for that, what we use are tags called video tags. Inside the video tag, we'll simply write SRC, within which we'll put the link to our video. This is a relative link. We can also put an absolute link here instead of a relative link. Let's try that. First of all, we write video tag and then write video SRC. Now add our video inside the files. Rename it as myvideo.mp4. Now put its URL./myvideo.mp4 and SRC. Save this. Now, if we go and see, a video has opened for us, but we can't play the video. To play the video, we can use some attributes here. Among them, the first attribute is our controls. Now, to show all the video controls, we need to write controls inside the video tag. So what will happen? Now we are able to play this video. In this video, we can turn the sound on and off, adjust the volume. We can make it full screen and even change its playback. This kind of format is also visible on YouTube. In this way, we can control our video in different ways as well. Additionally, there are several other options like loop. If you control video with loop, after you've watched the video completely, loop will automatically start video again. It means if you want the video to keep playing, you can set it to loop. If you don't want to play it in a loop, you want it to autoplay. As soon as you go to the web page, it will start autoplaying the entire video. Avoid autoplay because of some situations. First, if your users have mobile data, they have very limited bandwidth. In this situation of the internet, a lot of internet usage can occur if your video keeps autoplaying. Second, some users feel their user experience deteriorates if they are automatically taken to a site. Let's say you played a video automatically, which the user didn't know about. In that situation, there's quite a different experience, so avoid autoplay. If you want to use autoplay, then turn off the sound. Now, along with this, we have completed all 4 parts of HTML, and by now, we have reached the pro level. This means we have covered all the important crucial things within HTML. If you're going to write any HTML code, then these are the things you should know, the things you need to understand. These are things that every programmer knows. Now that we've learned HTML up to the pro level quite well, after this, the next step is to learn CSS, which means cascading style sheets, and after that, we learn JavaScript, finally the backend. Until then, you can refer to the notes below. Now, if you want me to convert these 4 parts in single video, then you can tell me about it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the Andro Coder channel and turn on those notifications so you can stay up to date with our coding tutorials and exciting web projects. Thank you for joining me today, and until next time, happy coding. That's a wrap for today's video. If you found this information helpful, don't hesitate to give us a thumbs up and leave your comments down below. Share this video with anyone you know who's interested in learning coding on their mobile device. As always, stay curious, keep coding, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care and bye-bye.